Hello and welcome to the Virtual Speaker Success Summit. I'm your host, Erin Lominjek, and I am super excited and honored to have my good buddy here, Benny Salas, and he is the founder and CEO of That Coaching Guy, Inc. As an executive coach, keynote speaker, and speaker coach, Benny's purpose is to empower the people he reaches to be, do, and create what they were meant for. In 2015, he officially launched his business called the Life Solutions Group and shortly rebranded as That Coaching Guy, Inc. As a speaker for over 24 years, Benny has reached 50,000 people through public speaking, social media, and video content. As a certified professional coach with the International Coaching Federation, Benny has mastered the art of coaching for the past 11 years and has delivered over 10,000 of coaching and training hours. In addition, Benny coaches on international platforms and serves executive clients in the areas of professional and personal development. Benny holds a BA in Organizational Leadership for Trinity International University, coaching, training, and certifications with NeighborWorks, Central College of New Mexico, Coach Training Institute, as certified professional co-active coach, accreditation with the International Coaching Federation, and associate certified coach and professional certified coach. I just love that this guy, we talked about many of the people on this summit have come from Clubhouse. Benny and I would not have met if it wasn't for Clubhouse. So I'm just grateful to have you on the stage, Benny.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. That was a mouthful, huh?
That's a lot. That's a lot to be said. But it's a lot to be
And,
said about the guy that you show up to be and how you serve the world. So I know that you didn't wake up at 5 and go, I can't wait to be a speaking coach, an executive coach. Like, this is so what I'm going to do in my life. So tell us a little bit about how you got here.
so how I got here was I started. So let me even backtrack because when I had this epiphany about the stage, right? So I was a performing arts major at the age of 12. It was really weird. We got into performing arts because we were like, man, there are some really pretty young girls in performing arts. Let's do it. So like me and like four of my friends, we joined it. And then I fell in love with the stage. I fell in love with getting in front of people, understanding how to actually show up in that energy. And so that evolved. And as I grew at the age of 19, I got a hold of the microphone. Now, prior to that, I knew that there was something in me that really wanted to speak. But at the age of 19, I grabbed a hold of that microphone. I went and spoke to a group of youth, and I never turned back from that point. It was always, this is what I felt called to do. And so I started speaking at the age of 19, and that just kind of evolved when I realized I was speaking in churches. And as I had different jobs, I started to speak in to universities, and I got a chance to travel to New York, and then I got actually flown out to Miami to work with a group of youth because people had heard me speak and they were like, man, this guy knows how to reach young people. Let's bring him on. And so that brought me here, and that opened a whole new floodgate of speaking opportunities. And so it wasn't until maybe about 5 or 6 years ago where the light bulb went on for me and said, you know what I really want to do? I want to help people become more. I want them to speak more. How do I get people to speak more? How do I get them? Because people would look at me and they'll say, "Man, Benny, great job. How do you do that? How do you begin talking about this? Like, you don't seem nervous." And I'm like, "No, that's not the case at all." But I found something for me that really connected. And when I started to realize this, because here's the thing, I like to say I never had a career path. I always had a purpose path. I always found things that were purposeful. And like I sucked at having a career. Okay. I went from job to job. I normally say this, there's no secret. I was the worst employee. I was too entrepreneurial. I would drive my bosses crazy because I was always saying, no, I need to speak up. I need to do this. I need to share this content. And I realized that as I got older and that I fell in love with speaking, and it really became the thing that I felt like was calling me, then I said, I got to help other people do that. I got to help them speak more. I got to help them find what their message is, how to take their story and turn it into a message that they can actually grow and monetize with. And really, that's just been my focus. And I combine that with coaching and a lot of different areas that I do. And you know this as well as many other people. When you have a lot of these gifts, you try to figure out, man, how do I show up? Because I can show up in this space or in that space. But for me, I felt like when I fell in this space, when I got into my business, I really found a lot of synergy and a lot of joy and a lot of passion behind it that really allowed me to find purpose. And I've just stayed here and I said, you know what, this is the thing I'm going to continue doing. So yeah, that's how it started. It started back in the stage, performing arts, getting exposure, speaking more, and then looking at, I mean, Aaron, I have a picture on my Instagram. I was 19 years old in New York speaking to a group of adults and students. And I was a skinny kid with a bad haircut and oversized jeans. But that picture meant so much to find that picture and to realize that, wow, this is something that's always been a passion of mine was really fulfilling. So yeah, that's how it got started, to be honest with you.
I love it. So during like March 13th happened and everything shut down. We all like gasped and thought, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do?" So what has
Yeah.
worked in the last year for you and your business?
Yeah. I think showing up on social media was a big thing for me. I think really getting clear about my messaging, really getting clear about how I was going to help people. Um, I realized too that I had been stalling on a lot of things that I was like, well, if things got better, if I just made more money, if I just did this. And then I realized, okay, now you have no excuse because guess what? Everything is shut down. So what now? What's the excuse, right? And so for me, the pivot move was to get really clear about who I was going to serve, get really clear on how I was going to show up in the space, get really clear on like really what is the dream, right? Like like what am I holding myself back on? And I started to just put things out there and I realized I started to build a lot of traction and get the right attention. And I think what happened for me was that whole thing, just everything just shutting down and us going through this season of like, I don't know what to do next. I mean, yeah, like many people, speaking gigs got closed, coaching clients didn't come through. Opportunities, things that I had was really, really working on. I had to pivot and I had to figure out, okay, what next? And so I think the one thing that sustained me, one was my faith, my own personal faith, and belief that, you know what, I know my faith is going to carry me through this, and but also it woke me up, Aaron. It woke me up like never before. It woke me up to the idea that I was not pushing myself as much as I could, that I was not doing the very best that I can to really show up and help people and serve people the right way. And so it was a huge wake up call for me. And I'll be honest with you, I've done the best I've ever done in my business through this pandemic. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how I saved money. Don't ask me how we're moving to build a home. I don't know. I can't tell you. All I know is that everything just seemed to align itself. And I think it was because partly my attitude changed about everything. My attitude changed about my business. My attitude changed about what I was going to invest in. I brought on coaches for myself. I brought on experts for myself. I realized that if I'm going to grow this thing and really come out of this season really on top, that I'm going to have to make some sacrifices. And that's what I did. The first thing I did, it was absolutely crazy during the when the pandemic hit, it was I went and got a new coach. And I was like, what am I doing? I don't even have the money for this right now. But I realized that I needed to be challenged. And that was the best thing I could have done because working with that coach, who's my coach now still, has challenged me in ways that I needed to be challenged. Because again, I think you're either going to you're going to come out from this. I don't know. I guess are we still in it or not? I'm not sure. It seems like we are. Seems like we're not. Like we're coming out of it. But I felt like the only way that I was going to really come out on top is to really challenge myself to no longer hold back on everything that I was going to do. So that's what speaking. So now I love again. So I've been doing a lot of virtual speaking, like many of us have been doing. I like it, but last week I took the stage for the first time live and I freaking missed it so much. I was like, yes. I mean, there's a whole other story behind that. Okay. If you want to talk about it, we could talk about it. But it was, it was like a feeling like I haven't felt in a year,
Oh yeah.
to be live, to be in front of people, to feel their energy, to feel their face, to feel like I'm commanding the room and I'm sharing something that I know resonates with people. Man, I missed that, and so it was a such a joy. I'm still a little high over it, I'm not gonna lie, because I missed it so
I
much.
totally get it. I wanted to kiss the stage. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the thing that I needed, that I forgot how amazing it was, because I've been doing virtual as well for the entire year and putting on other people's events and hosting their summits and emceeing and speaking and all those things. But man, was it nice to be on a real stage again and just feel that
Yeah,
again.
yeah, so I'm waiting for the next one, that's all. I'm just waiting for the next one, that's it. Got a few more coming up. I got actually one coming up in another week from now, and I'm excited about that. So, I love it. I feel like the market's opening up now, people are bringing back live, and so, yeah, I'm excited about that.
Well, and I also think like there's something to be said. Like many of us on here have met on Clubhouse, have now we sit on stages and we share moderations and we all support each other in what we're doing. So I know you totally. We got on probably about the same time, but then I was so busy and doing other things and all this building out some of these things that are so huge this year. I've
Yeah.
really revamped it, but you really took off in Clubhouse. So tell us a little bit about how that experience was. What did you find? And what did you find that really is helping you connect with these people over like just the vocals?
Yeah. So, when Clubhouse came into my life, I make it sound like it was like a date or something, right? Like when it came, when I first laid eyes on Clubhouse,
When I matched with
when
Clubhouse.
I when I felt its energy, it was in December, right? And I remember getting on the app and feeling like, what the heck is this thing, right? I'm like, this is weird. And then I sat on it, and then I got into Clubhouse on someone did a devotional, and it was like a 21-day devotional, and I got in that 21-day devotional, and I was like, wow, this is powerful. And then I started to take it really serious in towards the end of December, and I just felt like, man, I love this platform. It felt organic. I got to meet people, like, I think you were one of the first people I ever got on the Zoom with, from anybody on Clubhouse, and you and I connected very early on. And one thing that I felt like, okay, I'm like, and I think you and I know this, that the hype is over. Those who are really about it are on the app now. Like, they're on it. And it's still early adopter mode, right? Because we just got Android users on it. But I really felt like, okay, you know what? I can do this. This is my space. This is my jam. This is the thing that I do most, which is I work with people, I collaborate. How do I share the stage? How do I do that? And so I just started to connect with people. I think for a month and a half, or even 2 months, I did not start my club until they allowed everybody to start their club. And I'm not sure, that might have been like 2 months after, like, I don't know, when was that? That might have been like
That was probably like
Feb- February, March.
yeah, 2 months ago, maybe. Yeah, March. Yeah, I would think March. And then I got on right before New Year's. I was like the 29th, but I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what this thing
Yeah,
was.
yeah, for sure. And so I started my club when they allowed everybody to do it. And that's when I started to run my weekly room. And for the meanwhile, I had been many of us know Andy Enriquez, the Master Storytelling Academy. And Andy, I heard of Andy out here in South Florida because he's only over in the next town. And so I heard of him. And so when I saw him on Clubhouse, I was like, okay, if he's on here, then there's got to be a good reason why. Okay, so I just hung out in his room and just kept asking questions, asking questions, asking questions. And then he said, Benny, I'd love for you to come moderate with me. you know how do you feel about that? I was like, hey, I'm down, man. Like, let's do it. And so every week, every Friday, I'm there committing to his room. I run my room on Mondays. I go in other people's rooms as well, Dr. Brian's room, some other people who I know where it fits my schedule. And it just ended up being that I just started to really build these cohesive relationships that felt organic. They didn't feel forced. They didn't feel fake. They felt real. They felt organic. And here's the thing, I felt like, okay, we always say this, but I don't know how often people practice it, but I try my best to practice it. That I really try not to be the smartest person in the room, really. And I love the fact that we invite moderators, and I know they're getting clients in my room, and that's great. I love it. I'm like, tell me, how many people did you get? How many DMs did you get? Hey, how many contracts did you close? Like, I want that. I want it to be a win-win because I believe this. that when we speak, who's meant for us is meant for us, right? I don't need to chase after anybody who's meant for, and I'm gonna tell you something. I had a coach this week send me a client that I know she could have served. She sent the client my way, and I closed the client at 6,000, right? For coaching. And I don't know why she sent that client my way, but she said, "Hey, I think Benny can help you." And it was literally one conversation, one fill out a form, and here's the payment link, and boom. And it's different because you are on this platform speaking for 3 to 4 hours, and people are building the know, like, and trust factor with you. So by the time you say, let's take the next step, you've been talking to them for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, I look at this and say, how many conversations have I heard over the past 4 months, 5 months? Thousands of hours, probably. Many of us could say, how much time have we spent in a clubhouse room? Hundreds of hours, we could probably say, right?
Yeah, I mean, we
And
don't want to admit how often.
yeah, it's crazy. And even then, I look at it now as it's part of my strategy now. It is a huge part of my strategy because here's the thing: if we're on social media, we're getting viewers to be listeners. But what if you got listeners now? Now you can get listeners to be takers. Now take what you've been listening to, and now let's make it happen. It is like no other platform, right? And so for me, I just looked at that and said, okay, how do I work this correctly? How do I really lean into this the right way? So one, I show up with integrity. I don't take advantage of people. I share the stage. I try my best. We're drama free. If you, we've had no drama in my room, and I just don't. There, I know rooms are full of drama, but that's not my vibe, right? And not only that, but it feels like there's organic people who are sharing boots on the ground, organic growth that you can't fabricate. You can't fabricate the stuff that we're sharing, right? It only comes through experience. And I think in seeing other people do that, it has given me a whole level of confidence to step into everything that I'm supposed to do. This is something I'm great at. I love facilitating, I love moderating, I love being a part of a community of people. And it here's what it's done. It's giving me an opportunity to sit back and listen to what the problem really is. Instead of assuming what the problem is, guess what? I'm hearing 50, 60 people come up and talk about their problems. So if I'm not taking notes, if I'm not taking, the mental notes down and understanding how do I help solve this problem, then I'm going to miss out on really such a valuable opportunity to really get information. And so that's what Clubhouse has been. Clubhouse has been amazing. When will it end? I don't know if it'll end, to be honest with you. All I know is that where it's going and what it continues to be is an amazing opportunity. And again, the relationships. Because here's the thing: I knew some speakers, but I never knew this many speakers like I know now from Clubhouse. And now I feel like wow, like so many people that I can connect with. And because I don't know how maybe you felt about this, but I felt there was a certain point I felt like the speaking world was a little like lonely, and it was kind of like everybody's doing their own thing, right? And now it feels like we all can share in what we're doing, and more collaboration is happening with this art form of speaking and communicating. So and I think Clubhouse is a big part of that.
Well, yeah, and you speak to something that's really important. We all, as we're doing these rooms, we also have spent so much time together in that realm. We've really built business together. And so when somebody sends you somebody, it's because they know you're exactly the right person for that. I've sat in your rooms, you're like, oh, this is a corporate client thing. Let's ask Erin what she has to say. Or I know
100%.
really works on TEDx. She is the expert there. This one's for you. But I love that is how it's been. Like as we build these relationships, and this is something I think everybody needs to hear. So if you're not listening, like if you're watching something else, stop for a second and listen. Speakers get other speakers gigs. If you don't know enough speakers, you're not getting enough gigs because you aren't networking with them. When we're in these rooms, we're networking amongst each other. We're like, oh, you know what? I bet Benny needs to come in this room. Let me ping him real quick. Let me send him a private message because this is something he really does really well. And I want to bring him in and highlight him on that. And so we really do just tend to get each other the opportunities, but also it's the third party validation. The thing that I've noticed more on Clubhouse than any other social media platform is like when you show up in a room, it's like, oh, look, Benny's here. Oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot wait to introduce Benny to you. He's so amazing at what he does. Let me tell you a little bit about Benny. So all of a sudden, you're getting the same introduction that you might get to go up on a stage, right?
Mm,
Audience matters when they hear that because to them they're like, ooh, if Aaron's saying this about Benny, dang, I got to take notes that Benny's someone to pay attention to, right? So it builds that into this place of this open forum where people can come in and ask all these questions and get their questions answered and get solutions. But it really is the other faculty of this is the networking that we get to do. You know, a
yeah.
part of the summit, we're getting all the speakers together because I know that that's how we're going to change the world. We partner, we collab. We're like, hey, I got this upcoming thing. Who speaks on this? Who speaks on that? We can share the wealth and make it a win-win-win for the audience as well. So it's really important to think about it, not just from, all right, I'm going to go in, I'm going to like, listen, I might start a room, those kinds of things. Network with these people. We would have never met,
Absolutely.
potentially never met until
Yeah.
Clubhouse.
100%. I don't think I would be. I have learned so much from other people. Like, I don't think I would be as challenged as I am today and more driven and more clear if I wasn't hearing from other people who have figured other things out. Like, there are things that I figured out, there are things other people figured out, but hearing it, seeing it, experiencing it, and almost like embodying it in a way where it's like, okay, wait a minute, like that's a solution right there, has been a blessing. It has been an absolute blessing on this platform. And so again, rather if it was Clubhouse or if somebody was running Zoom meetings, however it's happened, I think Clubhouse has brought these amazing speakers because Clubhouse is really all about speaking. It's all about speaking. That's it. Like, I don't care whatever industry you're from, whether it's marketing, whether it's, sales,
Oh, wow.
it's all about speaking. That's it. That's it. So speakers should feel like, man, I am in my zone. And that's the one thing I feel like I've had some really, there's one person in on Clubhouse, and you might know him, John Lee. John Lee runs, he's probably got one of the largest followings. He's got the second largest club on Clubhouse. And he follows me, and every time I go into his room, he brings me up. And I don't ask, and I'm just humbled by that because again, it's not just about being on Clubhouse, right? Because you really got to when you go up, you really got to ask the right questions, and you got to give a value driven response. So as like I'm on Clubhouse and I'm listening, okay, how am I not going to sound like an idiot, right? Like, how am I going to ask a right question? And then two, when I hear something that I know I can add value to, how do I interject myself, even if people don't know me? How do I get people to buy in, right? To something that I may know of. Because again, that's what helps you grow. That's what helps people get to know you. That's how, and again, that's just good business strategy, and I think that's just good use of your gift as a communicator speaker, right? Because if you're good at something, you're gonna maximize your opportunities and your potential. So it's not just people like following you. Because I know people who have been on the app longer than I have, and they have less followers. And I hear them talk a lot and they're in the rooms, but what's happening is they're not connecting beyond just their own narratives. They're not feeling the room. They're not understanding you know what I mean? And that just takes a lot of work. And you and I know it takes a lot of work to read the room, to step in, to add value, and to know when to how to show up on this platform. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. And for me, it's So I heard myself on a podcast recently. I've done more podcasts in these past few months than I've done in the past few years. Okay. I have done a ton of podcasts. And I heard myself on a podcast and it was weird. I almost wanted to cry listening to myself because I saw how much I had grown. I saw my story grow. I saw how mature it was, and I was listening to it, and I paused it, and I called the guy. I said, "Dude, that was a freaking good podcast." I says, "I normally don't say that about myself, but I'm not just saying it about me. I'm saying the what was coming out of me. It felt it felt like it was owned. Like I felt like I owned it. And when you're on Clubhouse and you're sharing your story that much, you you get good at it. You get better at it, right? And so I'm grateful for that because I've seen so many different unique blessings that have come from a platform like Clubhouse.
Yeah. So I would say, I would ask, what are some of the things that you think are super important right now in speaking with the way the world is?
Yeah, I think the thing that's super important when it comes to speaking is your story has to have a message. Now, I know every story has a message, but I don't think people know what it is. I think oftentimes therefore there's a lot of stories. And I like to see it like, so what's this message, right? And then everything complements that. And I think there's a way of storytelling that allows your message. So you got to be really clear about what is your message, right? Because I think that affects not only your content, it affects your creativity, it affects the way you communicate, it affects your customer, it affects the way people connect with you, it affects the way you collect from people. It's all about your messaging. And I think what this has done, like if you're a speaker, it's more than just having a title. It's more than just, hey, let me say something that's either edgy or that's trendy. No, like when you own your content, I don't care if it's edgy, trendy, modern, traditional. If you're crushing it, you're crushing it because there's something about the way that you deliver your message that is unlike anybody else. And so I think when people create that sense of ownership, they stand out. They stand out. And here's a perfect example. So I recently did a talk, and in this talk, there was somebody else that came up after me. Okay, he came up after me. Um, the information that I got was that the person changed his talk after me. Okay. The reason why that was, and maybe you've had that happen to you as well, is because what happened was that I took the conversation and made it a message where that person thought he's just come and just talk, about his success and and I didn't do that. Like I came swinging for the fences. I did. Like I came like I'm gonna light the stage up, and that's what I'm talking about. We've heard for so long the success stories. We've heard so much about, this is my lifestyle. But here's the thing: people want something more. People want something that they know can take with them, right? Not just they don't want to gloss over, or salivate over someone's life. What they want, they don't want to just be inspired. They want to be empowered. Okay. And I think as speakers, it's easy to inspire somebody, right? They get inspired by how they hear the way that we deliver, or our uniqueness and our stories and the way that we show up. But I think when you empower somebody and they take those words and they own it and they say, "Now I'm going to make the change. Now I have access to that." That's a game changer. And so I think the more that we get clear about our message as speakers and communicators, that you're just going to be more effective, whether it's sales, whether it's leading your team, rather it's showing up in corporate, rather it's developing your own business. And this is something that I'm seeing, Aaron. I have been able to work with, and it's so weird because I never knew that I was going to work with this many women. Like the majority of my clients, and I'm going to tell you something. You and I got to have a conversation about this. What's up with these men? Like, what is up with these men? They don't want to be they don't want to be coached. They don't want to. I don't. What is up with them? I'm just like,
Well, I don't know.
dude,
You tell me. Do you
I
ask for
have a coach.
when you get lost? Do you ask for directions, or do you try to figure it out on your own? Let's be real.
I'm telling you, but you know what I'm noticing? I'm noticing that women have a different pivot strategy. They do. They have a different pivot strategy. Where us men, sometimes we just take too long or we try to figure things out on our own, right? Again, that might be a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But I'm just saying, like, in seeing my clients come to me and say, Benny, I have a story. I have a vision. I don't know how to get this out there. How do I do that? How do I build a coaching business or service-based business from this message? Because that's what people want to do. They have this message and they can almost forecast the outcomes and the results and their market and the people that they want to work with, but they don't know where to begin. And it starts with your message. What is your message? Right? Why do you want to speak? What do you want to speak about? Who do you want to speak to? Where do you want to speak at? When do you want, like, it's going through those simple why, who, what, where, when, why, to really frame, right? Like, how do I show up? And so I think we got to get back to not just the simplicity of speaking, because I think it's got it before the pandemic. I think it just got lost in the influencer, right? It was the influencer. Like, now, to be honest with you, I think we're going to see an uprising of dynamics and motivated people who have a message, who are unafraid to share it, and who are willing to step out and say, guess what? I have that influencer in me. And we're all influencers. Whether it's 1,000, 100, or 10 people, we're influencing people. So I would say, for the speaker, it's get clear on your message. What is it that you want to say? Where does that come from? Because that's going to affect every other area from start to finish, on how you grow.
Well, and I think that one thing you're talking about is like really being concise on your message. Because in Clubhouse, you got to be concise, drop the bomb, drop the mic, and walk out. Like, and step back and be like, okay, I'm done speaking. And it was funny because it was in your room. I got my very first standing ovation. It might be the only standing ovation that's happened on Clubhouse. I don't even know. But I remember you were like, I don't even know what to say. That was so crazy awesome. And then somebody said, can we not just flash our mics? Can we actually clap for Aaron? And I was like, wow, it's the thing sometimes we don't realize that it's like golden nuggets for someone else. It might be the exact right thing to say that they needed to hear in that moment. And I wasn't doing it from a place of, let me tell you about how awesome I am or anything. It was just pure, let me give you all the value I got on this exact topic, being as concise as possible, because I'm not going to spend 5 minutes taking up the stage. You got to be concise and to the point and really drive to the solution that the person's asking for.
Hmm.
And it's
I
not
I
take it off the platform over here. Yeah, I have a course that does that. You can do that. It's like, no, give me the value now. Then I'll decide if
Yeah,
that's what's awesome. Whatever you just gave for free, I can't wait to see what's behind the paid offer.
yeah. I remember that room, and so here's a perfect example. Like, if you ask me, can I recite everything Aaron said that day? I probably could not recite. But what you did, in that moment, I remember that person asking a question and you coming up and just feeling like everything you said was not only, like, this intuitively, right? Like, and not only as a speaker, but as a person who, we all have our intuition, right? We were all, I think we were all just captivated in the moment, because I think you were just being so raw and organic about your message and your story and your experience. And you did this really thing. You did this thing. That's a thing. I don't know what you did, but it was, yeah, yeah. You shook it up and you served this, like, you popped the cork, and it was like, whoa! It was a moment. It's probably one of the best clubhouse moments I've had, in hearing somebody in the moment just really just speak to the authenticity of where someone was at. And I remember that day. That was a powerful day. But the thing with you, Aaron, is that every time that you come in the room, it feels like you're not wasting time. It feels like you go in there with a purpose. And I think, as speakers and communicators, our wheels are always turning, right? I mean, Like I'd love to say I wish there was a shut off button in my brain. I haven't found it yet. If you find it, let me know. Haven't
No,
found it yet. Yeah, haven't found it yet. And so I'm trying to figure out, like I'm constantly taking, so I have to understand as a speaker, because I give a lot out, I can take a lot in. And I've just understood that about me, right? So there's this filtration system that we have. And I felt like you were filtering through your experiences to somebody, and it was coming out so pure. It was coming out so organic and so real. And again, those are those moments that I think as speakers, we have more and more and more on platforms like Clubhouse, but just in general. Like I find myself having conversations with people for 2 or 3 minutes, and they feel like, wow, you impacted my life. And I was just like, yeah, man, that's just a recent story, dude. Like, I'm just sharing my truth. I'm just sharing something. But I think as speakers, we have to understand that, first of all, we have an art form. It's a creative gift. And I believe that speaking is the language of the creator. He spoke the world into existence, and there it was. And so that's what I believe about speaking.
I love this. Well, I'm going to ask you to talk about your Speak More Academy that you have coming up and this Evoke community that you started bringing about, just recently. So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. So Speak More Academy, what we're doing is we're going to take it into a 2-day virtual event, and we are right now we're working on the whole workbook. We want to, I ran a beta group back in January, right? January, February, and I wanted to test out some of the theories and some of the things that I've been able to put together. And then I went back to the drawing board and said, you know what? I want to build this out a little bit more. I realized there was so much content that 5 sessions was not 5 1.5 hour sessions was not enough. And so now I got an instructional designer that's helping me do the whole thing where we're building out a workbook, digital course. We're building out as a 2-day intensive, and we really want to take people from that whole experience like an academy. So it's a speaker training on, and this idea of speak more, right? It's so simple. As I was thinking about it, I'm like, what do I want people to do, right? And I really want people to speak more, right? And if you say to somebody, what do you need to do to speak more? They will give you a whole list of things. Just ask them that simple question is, what do you need to do to speak more? And here comes a flood of thoughts, ideas. And in that, you're addressing the fear. In that, you're addressing somebody's belief about themselves. In that, you're addressing that they have a message, but they don't know what it is, but they know that there's a story there, right? In that, they know that they want to reach people, but they don't know how to take it to that point where they're actually being effective in reaching people. So Speak More Academy is developing all of that. And we're going to be launching this in July. So if you go to my website, you can get on the wait list, and we'll be pumping some things out in the next month or so. In the meanwhile, I've wanted to develop a community, and here's the reason why. Oftentimes, I do one-on-one coaching. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I do a lot of workshops for companies and organizations. I also do my own my obviously my own speaking that I do, but I wanted to build a community of people, and I felt like there was a group of people that either were speakers and coaches that needed a community, a sense. Maybe they didn't want coaching. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they've had a coach, but they want to be part of a network of people that were being empowered and inspired to do the thing that they're called to do. And so I've launched. We're launching in the next week or so. This is also on the website. We've added everything. So what we've done is we moved over from just a basic Squarespace to a Kajabi. So we have everything now in membership portal. We have everything that's good, getting automated. I figured, you know what? I can't keep doing 50 million things. Let me just simplify. You're on Kajabi as well,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so
We talked about
Kajabi's,
because it's been an amazing platform for me, coaching, scheduling, like just everything, emails, my courses are there. I mean, I can just create everything in there and it's all in one place.
yeah. And so that's what I've done. And so we've simplified things there, really, really getting clear of everything. So over the past month or so, we've just done a whole move over, like bringing all the systems, the strategy structures that were just kind of like all over the place. And again, you know this as well. When you have your business, as things grow, you just kind of plug and play as you go along, and then you got to like, whoa, how do I simplify this thing, right? Clients start coming, you start working with people, you get on platforms like Clubhouse, you're doing all these different things to grow and scale a business. And so that's what we're doing. We're launching Evoke Community, and I'm excited about that because I feel like this is a group that I really get to not have to be a coach, but get to be a mentor to people. You know what I mean? Get to really empower people, really get to do that. And I feel like it's needed because there's so many people that are out here that are doing the work and they need community. They need community, not just being on stage, not just waiting in a clubhouse room. They need organic relationships in this space so that they can continue growing. So the Evoke community is going to do that for them.
I love this. And I know that you also have a freebie on this page, which is how to speak with confidence ebook, right? Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah. So I started writing this ebook. It's interesting. I started writing it a few months ago, and then I caught COVID, and so that put a damper on my plans. And then the business took off. Right, I started to get an influx of clients, and so we started to work on it. We circled back around. We're wrapping it up, and really, it's a strategy guide. It's 3 strategies to help you reach your target audience the right way. And I go through just 3 simple strategies that I use to that I think if we get clear on these 3 strategies, right, and we're going to become a more efficient speaker communicator in how to reach our target audience. Again, I think people have a message, but it's like the saying goes: if you aim for nothing, you'll always hit it, right? And so I help people get really clear on how to get the right aim, get focused, and really. So this is going to be a freebie that we're going to be putting out in the next 30 days. And so they can go to thatcoachingguide.com. There is kind of like not a sign up, but where there is where you can look for more information. And if they put ebook, then I know that I'll be able to go ahead and once we release that, that'll be in their inbox. And so yeah, we're excited about that. A lot of great things, and there's one more that's coming up. And well, we're in the process of doing this. Um, I'm actually this is crazy, but this has been a lifelong dream of mine. Is we're actually building an ICF certified coaching program. Okay, and so the reason why that ended up happening was I realized that a lot of speakers wanted to be coaches, but a lot of them didn't understand the ins and outs of coaching. And so myself, I've been a coach for 11 years, professionally coaching, and done I've done the back end work in terms of like all the certifications I need. But now I'm able to build an ICF certified program, submit it so that someone can do their coaching certification with that coaching guy. And the idea there is that if somebody says, "Hey, I want to become a speaker and a coach," they could be with me for the next year or so, and we can really, really work with them. My goal is to turn people and again to help them be, do, and create everything that they were meant for. And so, and you and I know if we don't have the experience, because I believe it's not just about certification, I believe it's about experience. I believe it's about, again, 5 ways of coaching: certified, verified, quantified, qualified, and fortified. That's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about that later. But those are ways that people find coaches, right? And so it's not just the verification and the certification, but I do believe in what I've heard in the market. Again, we're in these clubhouse rooms and I'm hearing information and I'm saying people are not getting quality service. A lot of people have come to me, Aaron, that have been frustrated and upset. And they say, I bought a program, but I didn't get what I was looking for. And I said, well, was there a coach that was helping you? No, nobody. Okay, I'm not saying that you can't get that, but if you don't have the disciplines there, you're going to spend thousands of dollars buying that program that you think is going to solve it all. When in actuality, we need to work on you, right? We need to help get you. We need to get you trained. We need to get you. We need to get you the ins and outs so that you're effectively doing what you're supposed to do. So that's another thing that's coming in 2022. And so this is where I'll be able to get to work with some other ICF coaches, because you do have to be an ICF coach to actually train underneath this program. We'll beta test it for 6 months and then we'll launch it and get it officially accredited with ICF.
I love that. And one of my clients right now, who I'm landing a TED Talk, she's big in the ICF in Washington State. So if you want the connection,
Hmm.
definitely
Absolutely, absolutely.
doing amazing things. She also was a therapist beforehand. So she's got a plethora of knowledge. And I just love that we just have such a fun time talking about how we're going to take her stuff, what she does, which is radical curiosity, and taking it to the TED stage.
Ooh, love that. Love that word. Curiosity is a great word.
Yeah. All right. Before we leave here, you never told them what your website is. You just told them to go to your website. So make sure
www.thatcoachingguy.com.
you're
It's
welcome.
real simple. I'm that coaching guy. It's so simple. The reason why I went with that coaching guy was because I hated my other name. I don't know why I went with Life Solutions Group, but anyways, I did something really crazy, and then I was like, man, what do I want to be known for? I said, I want to be known, and here's the reason, right? So I do coaching on multiple platforms. I also coach on other international platforms that bring clients my way, personal professional development, and so I just do a lot of coaching, right? And I said, well, what do I want to be known for? What is the thing? I can't narrow down. I'm a speaker coach. I help people do that. I'm an executive business coach. I do personal professional development. I guess I'm that coaching guy. I'm just going to call myself. And that's what I went with, and got a crazy logo and, brand colors. And then this whole thing started to blow up. So that's been pretty fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, as we're talking about who you're becoming and evolving into, let me ask you the question that I ask all the attendees that are here and speakers is if I was to bring your future self, my future self is ELJ. She's sat on the Choose with Oprah, New York Times bestselling author. She's done all the things, right? If I was to bring ELJ here today to talk to me, she'd give me some advice. But if I was to bring your future self here, what advice would he give you, Benny?
Man, that's a great question. I think the advice that I would give myself is to say, continue taking more risk. Continue that there's books inside of you, there's stages inside of you, there's a lot of lives you're going to touch, there's going to be thousands of people that you're going to reach. I'm going to say hurry up and fail some more. That failure is not the problem, quitting is. Just don't quit. Fail but don't quit, right? Continue to strive that everything is going to be okay, that success is that I'm already a success just where I'm at right now. And that the more that I continue to show up in this space, to just be fearless about it, build strong relationships, love people, have integrity, do good work, do all of those things that and don't get sidetracked. Don't get distracted by the noise or the hype. Continue to help people, continue to serve, be a servant leader. I'm going to remind myself of all of those things that I believe make me who I am today. And the more that I do that, the more that when I get to that person, the future me, I'm going to be so happy that I've always been who I say I was, which is this person. And so that's what my future self should be telling the current me today. Take more risk, hurry up, and hurry, like what somebody says, hurry up and slow down, right? Enjoy the ride, enjoy the relationships, enjoy the friendships. Don't be so eager um, to get there, but enjoy the moment, embody the moment. Because I feel like in my 20s, I was in such a rush to get there. I missed out. I missed out. Like I really did. Like, and I now I'm in my 40s, and I like my 40s. I freaking love my. I do. I love my. I don't care what anybody says. I love my 40s.
I think
40s are the
you start really like owning yourself. Like all these years, you're
100%.
trying to become something, and I'm never enough. I'm never there. I'm not quite there. And then you get to your 40s, you're like looking around, like I'm already here. What have I been thinking all this time, right? And you're just like, yes. And I think what you alluded to at the beginning about, that lightning bolt moment when I dropped whatever value I did, because I couldn't tell you either, on that thing it was really that moment of just owning that enough and you're there and you just embody it. You become the message. And when you deliver it, people are like, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I 100% feel that, and I feel like I like where I'm at today. All the mistakes, all the failures, all the disappointments, all the wins, the losses, the ups and downs. I like who I've become today, and so I'm excited about who I'm gonna become. I'm excited about the lives I'm gonna touch, and the more that I step into that, and the more that I believe that, the more it comes to fruition. That's the crazy thing. I don't know how it happens. I don't have the formula. All I know is that if we show up and we continue to, and that's the whole model. So the question that you asked me, about who am I becoming, that's the whole be do create model that I created. That it's not just about what we do, it's about who we're being, and then what are we meant to create. Like, again, this life is short. We're here for just a short, like, we're on borrowed time. It's so interesting, right? Because I feel like the clock is ticking, but the clock is ticking if we live another day. So it's really weird. But we get more days, that means the less time. It's awkward. I don't know how we figure this stuff out, but I feel like every day I get the blessing to show up, and I love who I'm becoming. I love the father that I am. I love the husband that I am. I love I love how everything is just flowing and coming together. So yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the value you added to the audience. And I just want to say, I appreciate you not only being in my life and business, but also just who you are in this world and how you show up for them.
Thank you so much, Aaron. And again, thank you so much for doing this. You do so much great work, and this work that you're doing is just another testament to you responding to that higher calling in your life. And we're grateful for you because you're reminding us why we do what we do. So thank you so much. We appreciate you, and your efforts are just absolutely amazing. So we
Thank
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for attending this session, and we'll see you on stage.